today is to explain how to use the evaluation system. The system hasn't changed that much from last year. Those of you who participated in the evaluation last year should be fairly familiar with it. We intend to have Greg is first going to go through and explain what the reviewers have to do, so that those of you who are our reviewers don't have to sit through the part about what the administrators do, because it may confuse you, number one, and number two, it's not information that you're going to be able to use anyhow. Next thing I wanted to do was just do a roll call of who is on the phone with us. I know that we've had people say hello, but we need to keep a record of who's participating, and if there's multiple people at a location, we'd like to know who they are. So if you could, one at a time, and I'll start with FTA. Anybody who's on from FTA, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, this is Robert Buckley from FTA Region 4 in Atlanta.
Thanks. Anybody else? I didn't hear that.
Phil, this is Adam.
Oh, Adam, of course. Okay. How about from National Park Service?
All right. Jim Evans here.
Nola Chavez.
Okay. Anybody from the Forest Service? How about Fish and Wildlife? BLM?
Jack Blocky.
Anybody else? Okay, is there anybody else from any agency? I know that there might be other agencies involved.
Well, Jenny's here.
Yeah, obviously. I meant other than the Technical Assistance Center. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg, who's going to walk you through the training on the evaluation system.
Thank you, Phil. I don't know if there's any logistics as far as the live meeting that we need to go through. I believe we're recording this for being able to post onto the website. Is that correct, Jenny?
Yes, that's correct. And actually, I would like for Stephanie just to walk through really quick some basics of live meeting.
Sure.
Great.
Okay, so the first thing is, I know some of you are called in on the telephone. It would be helpful for you to put your telephone on mute and not put us on hold. If you put us on hold, we'll hear whatever background on hold music you have. This will allow for you to have a better listening experience on your end. So remember just to please put yourself on mute. Secondly, Greg's using a monitor which is maybe a little bit larger than what you are currently using. So it may be helpful for you to put your monitors in full screen mode. In order to do that, you will hit a little box with 4 arrows located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Simply press that button. Your screen will then become full screen. You'll be able to clearly see, hopefully clearly see what Greg is doing without scrolling left or right. And then to remove yourself from full screen mode, you'll just simply press escape on your keypad. And lastly, if you would like to obviously ask a question over the telephone, we'll encourage you to do so, or if you would feel more comfortable using the Q&A manager, which is located up at the top of your screen, simply press Q&A, type in your question, hit ask, and then we will ask the question for you over the telephone. So with that, I'll turn it over to Greg.
All right. Thank you, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
All right, so I will share my desktop at this point, and please let me know if anybody can't see the entire web page. Hopefully now at this point you can see the log-on screen for the grant application review application. So if you can't see the entire screen, please speak up now. And with the delay that we have, there might be a little bit of delay with the application, so I'll try to go slowly when I click through the different fields, so that you guys see what I'm seeing when I do the do the review. And as Phil mentioned, for those of you that have used the application in previous years, or last year, it's very similar to what you saw last year. There's a couple other features in there that we added, and I'll go over those. And as Phil also mentioned, I'm going to go through the application as a reviewer first, and then I'll log in as a administrator and show the different functionalities in both roles. So with that, I will start with a login. For those of you that had an account in the system last year, your account is still active. And for those of you that are new to the system, you'll have an account created for you, and you'll get an email that is sent to you that you can activate your account and access the system. So any questions on that so far? Okay, so I'm going to log in as a National Park Service reviewer, and we'll go and put in our email account and our password and hit submit. So in this screen, what you'll see is basically your account or the user that's logged in, and you'll have two grids that will be visible for you. The top grid is the applications that are available that are under your agency. So if logging in as a National Park Service employee or reviewer, this top grid is showing me all the applications that the National Park Service is responsible for. And then the grid below is any application that has been submitted or forwarded to the national competition from other agencies. At this point, I don't have any applications in there, and I will go through and show you how those look when they get forwarded. And as those get forwarded, there will be a notification. I believe it's on a nightly basis to the users of the application of new grant applications that have been forwarded that are available for you to review. All right. So the first thing, the top grid, you can see each row is a information from the application. So it has the application ID number, the name of the application, the agency responsible for it, the sponsoring agency, public land unit, the state that it's in, the type of application it is, what the funding request is, funding recipient, and whether it's forwarded to the national competition or not. So I'm just going to go through the process that I would envision people that are going to go through this. So if you want to review the grant application for a specific grant application, there's an icon on the far right column on the row that will bring up a list of documents that are associated to that application. Last year, we only had one document. It was a zip file. All the corresponding documents to that grant application were in that one zip file, so you had to download the zip file and then open it. So there's three ways I'm going to show you that you can access these documents that are associated to a grant application. So the first way is that you can just click on the link to each one of these documents. So if I click on the link itself, it's going to prompt me to either open or save that application. So this opened the PDF that was associated to that document. I can review it online. The other thing is if I have a number of documents that are associated to a grant application and I want to look at all of them and I don't want to step through the process of opening and closing each one of them here, I can select the multiple documents that are associated to that one grant application, and then I can hit download. What that does is it's going to create a zip file so it can download that one document. Then you click on this click here to download your files link. It's going to prompt you to save that zip file in a location, so I'm going to save this. And I'm going to put it on, I can browse to any location, whether it's on my local hard drive or on the network. It's going to create this real ugly name, but it's a unique ID name. You can rename it if you want, but it's going to be a zip file of all the documents that are associated to that grant application. So I can click Save and then Open Folder. There's the zip file that's associated to that. If I double click on it, I'll have the 3 documents that are associated to that grant application. All right. So I can close this now. Now, if I have the third way I can look at the documents, if I want to download all the information for each one of these grant applications for the National Park Service, I can click on this link here above the grid. It says Download Project Application Documents. If I click on that, it provides me the ability to select each one of those grant applications, so you can see the project number that's associated to each one of these grant applications. I can select all or whatever combination of documents I want to. I can click Download. Similar type of thing, it creates a zip file that you can use that it will download at that point. You click Download Your Files, Save, browse to where you want to save it. Now when I open that zip file, so this is the zip file that it just saved. If I open that, you'll see there's a folder created for each one of those grant applications. So you can see on the left the 2011-023 corresponds to the folder here. So if I click on that folder, you'll see the 3 documents that are associated to that. So it's a little bit quicker way to get down all the documents that you want to review. All right. Any questions about the downloading of documents at this point? All right.
Just show me real quick, how did you get to that multiple download thing again?
For the
download
multiple applications, there's a link right at the top of the grid. So download project application documents. Right here at the top. Do you see that?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, oh, got it. Okay, that's fine. I got it.
So there's 2 things here. One is that you're going to have the download of all the applications that are associated to your agency, and then there's also a link down here that's going to be for any applications that have been downloaded or have been forwarded to the national competition. So there's 2 of these download buttons, right? Right now we don't have any applications that have been forwarded to the national competition, but if we had 1 or 10 or 30 or 100 of them, they would show up in that, and then you could go through and download all of those that were associated to that were forwarded to the national competition. All right. So the next step is going to be scoring an application. So if I click on this link at the far right column of the grid, there's a link here that says Score. I can click that, and this brings up the application scoring form. And at the top of this, you'll see information that's associated to the application. I'm assuming at this point you would probably have your PDF either printed out or on the screen on your other screen or overlaid so you can review the application and kind of view the information that's associated to that application. So for each one of the criteria, let's see, for each one of the criteria, you have the ability to comment on each criteria. So under demonstration and need, there's a visitor mobility and experience, environmental condition as a result of the existing transportation system. Those are the 2 criteria that you can score that's based on the demonstration and need. If you want to see the metrics around each one of those criteria, you can click on the link. The actual criteria is blue and underlined. So if you click on that, it brings up the description that came from the grant application itself. So this just describes the site's current and anticipated transportation problem or opportunity. These question descriptions are unique to the planning and the implementation applications, so they're different for both. And this will stay up so you can view that while you're looking at the grant application itself, so you can kind of get an idea if that question meets what the question description is. So when you want to close this, you can hit OK or the X button on the top right. Now there's a text field that's below each one of these criteria. There's a little icon that looks like a little comment pop-up box. It's on the right side of that comment, or right side of that criteria. If you click on that box, it should bring up a dialog box here. Let me see. Like what you see here. So you have the ability to actually put in a comment. These comments are only associated for the person doing the reviewing, so these are not consolidated or printed or forwarded to anybody. These are for you to kind of put information in while you're doing the review. And I'm gonna go back to the home and reload this because I got an error on the loading of that page. So, all right, that looks better. Okay, so I can click on that icon. It's going to display that text box. I can put in the information for me personally that I want to comment on each one of these criteria, and you can add as many comments as you want for each one of those, and then you're going to go and do the scoring. So there's a drop down box that's in the scoring column. And you have the ability to score each criteria from 1 to 5, which I've already done on this grant application. And as you go through this scoring process, it's going to summarize your score or subtotal your score for each one of the 4 major criteria for your application. Now at the bottom, it totals what your overall score is based on the weighting for each one of these criteria. And then you have the ability to put in a summary positive comment and negative comment that's associated to this grant application. And those are forwarded to the administrator for each one of the land management agencies, so that when the administrator goes through and scores and comments on a grant application, they have the ability to see kind of everybody's comments that have reviewed this grant application and take that into context when they put their overall summary or comments, positive and negative comments for each grant application. At that point, when you're done scoring, you have the option to either save and close the application, so you can come back and make edits. So if you've only scored the first 3 criteria and you want to come back later and score the 4th one, you can hit save and close. When you do submit review, it just flags on the grid here that it's been completed by you. So you can still go back in and change your score, but the administrator and you it's a visual flag for you to kind of see which ones you've reviewed and which ones you haven't reviewed. I'll go into one that I haven't scored yet, the Craters of the Moon bus terminal. These are all make-up grant applications that I did for the testing or demoing. So they may not be a bus terminal at the Craters of the Moon National Park or National Monument. All right, so now I'm going to go in and score this one. Again, I can put in comments for each one of these criteria. I can go in and I can score. If I've just started the score and I want to come back to it, I can do a save and close. And you'll see that it's just flagged on this grid that it's started. Okay? Any questions about the scoring or downloading? I'm going to go in, log in as an administrator and forward a grant application to the national competition and show you how it shows up in the grid below, if there's no questions. All right. So I'm going to log out here. I'm going to log in as Fish and Wildlife Service. And I'm going to go in and These are the grant applications that are associated to the Fish and Wildlife Service, and I can go in and I can forward this grant application to the national competition. So it's the test application, and maybe I'll forward the Erie National Wildlife Refuge to the national competition, and I'll log out. National Park Service Reviewer. Now you can see you'll have these two applications that you can go and score at this point. And as I said, there'll be an email notification that will go to each person on a nightly basis that summarizes the applications that are now available for review for you. Okay? Any questions about the reviewing process? Pretty straightforward?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're ready to go into the administrator view and go through the process in there. All right, so again, I'm going to log in as National Park Service Reviewer, Administrator, and put in my password. So again, in here, very similar interface to what you saw in the Reviewer login. There's a couple things that are different. One of them is up at the administrative tools. There's a user account manager or management. So as a administrator for each agency, you can add users or reviewers to review this grant applications that are associated to your agency. So under that, you would just go user account management. You can add a new user. You can put in.
How do you delete people?
So there's no way to delete a person. We don't want to delete a person because those people might be tied to a score from the previous year. So what we've done is we've disabled users, and I don't know if yeah.
Because I have people that have retired or resigned or left.
Okay. Yep.
It's up to you guys. It doesn't bother me that they're in there. I just was curious.
Yeah. So I've gotten a list from Adam and Phil, I believe, on users that are no longer around. I don't know if it's all of them, but if there's any users that you have in your system, you can send either Phil or myself an email, and we'll just deactivate them. We won't delete their account, but we can just deactivate them so they don't get email notifications or an email doesn't go out to them or whatever. So, okay?
Okay.
All right. So adding a new user, put in their email address. This is just a random generated password that they can change, that would be changed once the account is activated. First name, last name, what agency, what role you want them to set up, be accessing it as, so administrator, read-only, or a reviewer. And if you want to put in their phone number, you can. You don't have to. Once you put that information in and you submit it, there's going to be an email that will be generated and sent to the user with a link in it to activate their account. Once they click that link, they put in their email address and password, their account gets activated, and then they can have access to the site to do reviewing or administration, however you set up their role. You can go in and edit anybody's account. So if you wanted to go in and edit the reviewer's account, you can change their name. You can reset their password if you want. So those are some options that you have in there, or change their role. Okay. Navigate. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry I've come in late, but I had, again, audio problems. Going back to Jack's question, we sent out an email about a couple of weeks ago asking you, with a list of who's on the system, asking you whether you wanted to keep them or not. And I got yours back, Jack, and we took that into account.
Okay.
As Greg pointed out, they'll still stay in the system, but they won't show up in the evaluation grid unless you put them there.
Right.
And Greg, do you want to explain how that's going to happen about the evaluation grid? And I apologize if I interrupted you there.
Evaluation grid as far as how people show up there?
because the ones who are deleted are going to still be in the system, but they're not going to show up on the evaluation grid.
Right, correct. Yeah. So there's basically a users per year that we have in the database. So only the users that are active for that year are the ones that are going to show in the evaluation grid on the home page. So that's, if you look at the home page, you see here you have National Park Service Admin, Reviewer, Reviewer 2. So those are the 3 people that are set up to actually score grant applications associated to the National Park Service for this year. So if you had somebody from last year and they weren't active anymore, they would not show up in this grid here.
And if you have somebody this year or who's not showing up on the grid, just send Greg and I an email and we'll take care of that. Or likewise, if there's somebody showing up on the grid who shouldn't be there, just send us an email.
Okay, just I'm a little confused. So you're showing here where it says NPS Administrator, Test, Reviewer, and Reviewer. Everybody who's signed up as a reviewer, there should be a column for them?
Correct, yep.
Okay, because I have, I'm going bouncing back and forth between my account. And when I go into a user account, I've got, maybe about a half a dozen reviewers.
Okay.
Still listed, but when I go to home, like you said, they're not, there's only my column for me.
Okay, all right. I think once they log in and start scoring, their accounts will show up in this grid. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I was just curious. All right, thanks.
Yep, no problem. Okay, so that's the user account management. Under report dashboard, you have there's a couple reports that we've created within this page here. So we have these custom reports and custom charts that have information that's associated to the scoring for each one of for your agency. Any one of these reports you can run, and you can, if you want, you can export the information to Excel. So, for example, if I want to do trip adjustment summary per agency report without adjustment scores, so this top report, if I click on the Go button, I select the year. I'm going to select whether they're in the national competition or not. I'll say yes and hit View Report. So I have these 2 applications that have been forwarded to the national competition, and if I expand those, I can get all the information associated to that report as well as any comments that are associated to those applications. And if I want to export that information to Excel, there's this little disk export button. I don't know if everybody sees that. If you click the down arrow there, you have the option to export it to Word, Excel, PDF, or whatever. All right. Additionally, we have a project map. So as people are locating, this is our test site, so you won't be able to see this, but in production you'll have access to that map, and there'll be a bunch of pins that are associated to the grant applications based on year. So you can see the Google map with pins in it associated to the grant applications.
And we're adding, as of this moment, there's only 2010 in the system. We are adding all the previous years. It should be in within the next couple of weeks.
Yep. Okay. So again, this top grid for the administrator, it's the agency application review summary. So this lists all the grant applications. You can expand each one of these buttons next to the name, and you'll get a detailed scoring summary for each reviewer, as well as a checkbox if it's been forwarded if they've recommended this grant application to be forwarded to the national competition or not. So it's up to the agency administrator to actually forward it to the national competition. Each reviewer has the ability, as we went through the scoring application, to select whether they wanted it forwarded or not, but the agency administrator is the one that actually would go in and select whether that grant application would be forwarded to be reviewed by all the other agencies. All right? They also have the ability to unselect it, so remove it from the national competition. And again, there's a link here for viewing the documents associated to that grant application, and you can select which ones you want to download, or you can click on the specific document you want to view if you want. That's the same interface as you have down here under the Review and Score My Agency applications. And the scoring is pretty much identical to the reviewer score, with the exception, I'll go on one here that hasn't been scored yet, so I'll go into score, and I'll go through the scoring process here. I'll try to do it slow so people don't lose me here. All right. So once we're finished with the scoring process, given a score that's associated to this reviewer, the admin person or the reviewer at this point has the ability to put in a positive and negative aspect that's associated from their point of view. Then they have the ability to view all the comments view all the comments by reviewers from their agency. So they can click on this button here. Click here to view comments by all reviewers in your agency. You have a summary of comments here. And then based on that information, they can go in and they can put a summary positive or summary negative comments based on the agency. So this would be kind of reflective of the National Park Service for this specific agency, not a specific person. Then they can either save or submit the review. And you'll see it gets flagged here in the database as submitted. So the one other change that we made in the application, you know, this example isn't a great, you know, I think there's over 100 applications this year or close to that. So there's multiple pages of these grant applications. I believe the last year when you finished a score, it brought you back to the first page of that grid. We made a change, so when you go and finish your score and you hit save and close or submit, it's going to bring you back to the same page in that grid where you can go to the next grant application and score it. So it makes it a little bit easier to kind of walk through the scoring process for each grant application. All right, and again, so the top grid here is specific to the agency that you belong to. The bottom one is all the applications that have been forwarded to the national competition. I think that pretty much covers it as far as the administrative part, unless I missed anything, Phil or Adam.
Greg, can you hear me at a good volume?
I can, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a slight difference in the process between the agencies since we have some new reviewers on this year. And that is that the land agencies all basically, as a first step, review applications that come from their own agency before they release them to it's called national competition. It might also better be termed the multi-agency review. Applications that come from partners, such as a transit agency, they'll come to FTA, and after an eligibility review, we'll release all of those to the national competition, and they'll be available to all of the reviewers and FTA reviewers immediately. The land agencies will take most likely a little more time in reviewing their applications internally before releasing them. So there'll be a staged release process. And also, if people are interested, we received the last batch of the applications last night, so I have some total numbers that I can share. We have 103 applications totaling about $84.5 million for $25 million available. 42 are from the Park Service. That's the most for any one agency. Forest Service and Fish and Wildlife are 8 and 9, and the total number of applications from partner organizations is also 42. And they're spread pretty evenly around the country. Every FTA region has at least one, and the most 19.
So BLM has several that, or maybe half a dozen or so that were submitted through BLM, but they were the money, or it is for a local government or another agency. So will it show up on the BLM as for me as an administrator, or will you determine who it really belongs to? And then, for example, Shasta State Historic Park Bike Lane, which is, it's sponsored by BLM, but the money's probably going to go to the local government. It shows up here. Will the rest of them show up?
The only one that came from a BLM unit itself as a designated funding recipient, I think, was from the Reading field office.
Okay, so BLM is, okay.
For the ones that come from partner organizations such as a town
Yeah.
or a city, they'll be in the national competition immediately. So they'll show up in the bottom section for yours.
Okay.
And we're still reviewing the application, so I want to double check them. Which agency they're all affiliated with, because in some cases they received multiple letters of support. We want to make sure that they're all routed the right way.
Okay. All right, so then I'll probably only have one to send on to the national competition then.
That's right.
Okay, the rest, which are partners, but we're the sponsor, don't have to worry about. They'll get automatically listed.
That's right.
But Jack, keep in mind that you should make sure that the right BLM people review those partner ones, and you should have a lot to say about what happens with those. Similar to.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, absolutely.
Okay. Are there any other questions, around the application itself, or that people still have uncertainties about?
This is Nola Chavis, and I have a question for Greg. Many times I find myself printing out the scoring sheets, and, because it's actually easier to carry those around if I'm reading the document someplace other than on my laptop.
Sure.
And one of the things that I was curious about is, as you opened up the scoring sheet to do the comments, it's a drop-down box. So if I print out a hard copy of that, say if I want to compare, 3 projects because they're very similar, and I want to compare my comments on it, there's no way to actually view or is there a way to view an entire sheet with my scores and with all my comments so that I can go back and forth in between, various applications to see if I was consistent in how I scored?
I believe by default those comments show up when you open up the scoring for an application.
Okay.
I don't know if that so if I go out of here now and I do a save and close.
Yeah, or if you print it, if you actually print a hard copy of the sheet, does everything that you entered in, does it show up on a printed sheet?
Let's try right now. I'll do a print to print preview. Yeah, so those comments do show up. So they're all expanded and show up in the print that you could see. So you can see how those comments are there.
Okay, got it.
All right.
All right.
Does that work for you?
Yeah, that's
okay.
Good. And I also like when the printed sheet, I'm looking at the page preview here, the print preview, and it looks the box takes up more of the page. Before it was, it looked lovely, but it was a little box right in the middle of the page, which, I would end up, writing comments all around the column edges. But yeah, the expanded box, which makes better use of the full page, because, I do print these things out often, and it looks like it's a better use of space right now.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, if it comes that this doesn't work, I mean, we can always create a report maybe for you that's like a printable report that looks a little bit different or formatted a little bit different. But if this works, that's great. If not, let us know and we can make some slight changes to it for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nola, and anybody else is on the phone. I mean, that last point that Greg made is a good one in that you said something about wanting to compare them, Nola. So we could create a report that would allow you to print out all of your applications on one spreadsheet or in one report, so you can look at them all one compared to each other.
Okay, that sounds good, Phil.
If you want something like that, I just ask that you sort of send us an email with some kind of a mock-up of what you would like to see, and we will try to create that. And that goes for any report, by the way, from anybody.
Okay. Thank you, Phil. And thank you, Greg.
Yep, you're welcome, Nola.
Phil, Greg, this is Jim. This looks great. Back to the area where you can do read-only, I would like to have our 7 regional managers be able to access read-only. So do I send the list of names to you, Greg, or to Phil, or both of you?
You can enter them yourself, Jim. Oh,
yes.
You go in there. Go back to that for a second. There you go. Greg is just at the Add New User. He clicks on that. You just put the person's email in there, give them a password, and their other information, and they are automatically into the system.
Great.
And they receive an email to,
yes.
Yeah.
And they have to do something. They can't just log on. They have to respond to that email. There's a box or a link for you to click in there.
Yep. Yeah, this will generate an email. There's a activate account email that gets sent to the person based on this email that you create for them. Again, the role here is administrator, read-only, or reviewer. So if you select read-only, that's the role they have. If you need help setting them up, I mean, we're more than happy to help you out, but you can do it yourself if you want.
Can you change the role later?
You can,
go back in. Okay,
yep.
just by going in and changing it. Okay.
Yep. So I can go in and edit somebody's role here and change their role to a read-only role and submit it, and the account's been updated. So now that you see here, it's set to read-only instead of reviewer.
So what would happen if you change it to read-only after somebody did a bunch of scores? Would that knock all their scores out?
No, the scores would still be in the database, but they wouldn't be able to score any new ones.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Again, how soon will this be ready that we can begin loading up reviewers?
It's active now.
Active now, okay.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, but the applications, all of the applications will not be in until sometime next week.
Right.
We haven't even at the TAC, we haven't received all of them yet. We should receive them today, I think, and then it's going to take some time to get them all in there. We really received 70 of them, and if you were to log on now, you'd find them. In fact, Greg, why don't you log on to the real system for a second, please?
Doing that right now.
Okay.
So I'm logging in as an overall administrator. So these are the applications that have been loaded up to date.
Yeah, how many are there, Greg?
There is 10, 12, 14, 15 applications so far loaded up.
It's on the second page then. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, and our staff is in the midst of loading them right now.
Yep. And you can see under user account management, there's a number of them that are activated. We set to false. So if we scroll here and just view the true ones, you can see the people that are set up for the different agencies if you want. So Bureau of Land Management has two accounts right now, or two.
We got quite a few. Yeah, a lot of people from last year.
Okay, let me. Yeah.
One thing I'd just like to forewarn you, those of you who are sending these out for review of only a few of them by people, The system is not going to control for that, so you've got to make sure that they know that they're supposed to review, for example, number 15, 17, and 35.
Right.
Right. Anything else you wanted to see in the live system, Phil?
No, I just wanted to show them where we were and that things were making progress.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you can see here there's some of these applications that have quite a few documents that are associated to them.
Yeah, actually, why don't we open one of those?
And click on the document itself. So.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So I'll log out of the production one. Did anybody want to see the map? We can log back into production and. So these are the ones, the applications right now that have been forwarded to that have been put in the system that have city and states in them, so they've been located already on the map. Right now we have 2010 information in there, so you can see that where the 2010 information is and where the 2011 data is.
As you can see, if you go back, put the 2010 back in there for a second, Greg.
Yep.
That's just 2 year, or that's just 1 year plus. Imagine what this is going to look like when you have all the applications. So there's going to have to be some screening that you're going to have to do if you're going to see them.
Or you make the map bigger.
Yeah, just as Greg just did, but there's still going to be a lot in there.
Yep.
You have to do it by state maps.
Yeah. And you can click on each one of these pages.
Please don't suggest that.
You can get some general information about each one of these grant applications.
And how did excuse me, how did you get to the map again? You go to.
Yeah. So if I'm at the home page, I go to Report Dashboard.
Yeah, okay.
And then in Report Dashboard, I have the Show Report Dashboard or Project Map. So I'm going to click Project Map.
Okay.
All right.
Project Map. There, I see it. Okay.
And then you have some filters in here that you can see all the ones. So if I go back to 2010, and I say I just want to see the ones that have been forwarded and that are highly recommended, I can narrow down my scope of the buttons that are the ones that are showing up here.
Greg, have we flagged the ones that were actually funded separately?
We have that information in the database, so I don't know if we do right now, but we can definitely put another filter in there to identify those.
Well, and of course that is going to be on the map that is on the TAC website before too long also.
Right.
Which is a very similar map to this. But it'll have all years in it.
Okay. I think that would be useful to reviewers if they want to look back and see what sort of projects were funded in what areas and so on, rather than all of the applications that maybe were submitted.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I think everything from 2006 to 2009 are only going to be the ones that have been funded, but 2010 and 2011 obviously would need to be the ones that have been funded.
That's correct. Only the funded ones will show in for those before 2010.
Right.
So my map only shows 2010, 2011. I thought the other map that you showed, the example, had more.
Yeah, we don't have. We're in the process now of uploading the information for 2006, 7, 8, and 9. So we have the data. We're going through and cleaning up that data, and once we import it, those buttons or options will be there for you to select.
By the way, I got a warning that you might have. It wouldn't pop up the map right away because I had to click to say it was okay because it was like a virus threat or something. It may be all DOI stuff, maybe just BLM. I don't know.
It could be the pop-up blocker too is turned on your web browser.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Phil, or Adam, or Jenny?
Not for me. Thanks very much, Greg, for this introduction to the system. Really helpful.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I just want
I have a
let's go ahead, Jack.
the question I got is, as we bring on reviewers, will there be like another possible training session for new reviewers later? Because I think a lot of the agencies are going to assign people, reviewing rights, and they're going to have questions about how to review it. Would there be another training session coming up in the future for this?
I did.
Okay. Can I try to answer that to start with, and then you can pick up, Greg?
Sure.
First of all, Jack, this whole session is recorded and will be on the website.
Okay.
Jenny, we were discussing where it would be. We'll send a link to each of the administrators of the system as to where that might be.
That'd be great.
It's not going to be posted on the TAC website because I don't think we want this in the general public, but we will send you a link where you can access the training. So you can forward that link to anyone else who you're assigning as a reviewer.
That would be great.
And secondly, Greg is preparing a video implant. What's the right word for it, Greg? You explain it.
Yeah, it's just basically a screen, a webcam or web capture of, or a screen capture of going through the process of downloading and scoring applications. So we're going to put a link in the application itself. It will look something like this when you click on it. So if you can see the screen.
What's going on there is not Greg. That's the screen capture that he's talking about.
Right. So this is a web interface. You'll click on the the help me button, and it will bring up this web page that will kind of step you through the process. So this kind of says click icon to download documents. You kind of walk through it. You can see what's happening on the screen.
Greg, this is Jenny. I also just wanted to ask, is there, if someone is in there and needs help, like they've walked through the system before, but they get to a point and they need assistance, something's happening,
yep.
You guys have that set up, it'll contact someone?
They can first contact me, and then if I can't help them, I'll get Greg to help them, or somebody on Greg's staff.
Well, is there anything in the system? So let's say you're a viewer that doesn't know you. Is there somewhere where they can click and it'll show them who to contact or anything like that? Does it have an email or phone number?
Yeah, we'll put it under the help button right here on the web page. So we'll put a link to that web demo, and we'll put a contact list in there.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Hopefully this was helpful, and like I said, any questions going forward, either direct them to Phil or myself. Would be happy to help out.
Or if absolutely necessary, just call the 800 number, and Jenny will get you to the right person if she can't do it herself. Okay, thank you, everybody. As I said, you actually could start scoring the ones that are in there already if they're for you, but the system should be completely loaded next week. Just so you know, we're anticipating that the ones that FTA is putting on, the non-affiliated ones, will be on in June, late June. We're hoping that you will be able to send for the national competition all of your applications by somewhere around July 5th is our target, and July 29th, I believe, is the last date that they can be sent to the national competition.
Phil, we're actually hoping to get the FTA non-affiliated ones up within approximately 2 weeks at the latest. So the timeline will hopefully be flexible.
So Adam, all the ones that were from an associated local government or agency.
Amber, I think we can stop the recording now. I'm sorry, Jack, go ahead.
And so those will